Hello, we are here with a very special friend, Tegan from South Africa. Tegan has become a very good friend as well, and it's been a very interesting, tricky story behind all his process. So please watch the video till the end because I'm sure you will learn lots and you will have some laughs as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I was born in South Africa, lived there my entire life, and I decided that I would want to move to New Zealand in 2017, around June. After which I had approached an agency, I'm not going to mention the name, but what I later find out was actually not a reputable agency, somebody who really stole a lot of money from me and gave me very little service. Anyway, they applied for a visitor visa for me, and I made my way to New Zealand. Whilst I was here, I found the country to be so amazing, so beautiful, full with so many people that are kind, caring, and open, that I decided I want to live here. And whilst I was here, I'd been approached by a company to join them, at which stage I decided, let me take up this opportunity. Unfortunately, the company that I was using to process my visa application was an unethical, unreliable, and disreputable company. What they did was barely nothing.
And charged a lot.
And charged quite a lot of money. To which my company at the time that was going to employ me had waited about 7 or 8 weeks and had not heard back from New Zealand Immigration, even though we had emailed this company many times to ask them for feedback. They had not given us a response. They were very aggressive towards us when they did give us a response, and they did not make me feel like I was a person, but rather a number, somebody that was just going to pay the bills for them and didn't take a real interest in me. There were often times where I would send documents and they were not read, and then they would ask for the same documents later on.
That's the whole sad part of the story.
That's the sad part of the story. So after about 2 months of working with this agency at New Zealand Immigration, the company had decided that they had waited too long and they weren't willing to wait any longer for me to join. Thus, they cancelled my job application and my work contract, and I had to look for a new job. Because of the bad experience with this company, I decided to fire them. And after looking over many hours on the internet, getting recommendations from friends, I had been approached by one of my friends who's a mutual friend of myself and Lena, who had said, there's this wonderful person, you really have to meet her, she's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Me being the person I am, said, okay, great, if you believe this, I will listen to you. And I met with Lena. She has an amazing...
And this is the starting of our relationship?
This was the starting of our relationship. This was in September last year. September last year, she had the most amount of support, very kind, very caring to my situation. My visitor visa was about to expire and I needed to submit a new visitor application within a week. Lena spoke to the agency that I had fired. I had given her all the necessary documentation, and she worked tirelessly throughout the night, asking me many questions during the day, but she had my best interest at heart. And I could tell this because when she spoke to me as a person and not as a person that's just going to pay her bills. She submitted the application within a week, which I thought was amazing because the previous company had taken 4 months to submit the same application. And they had not given me feedback for my visitor visa for 4 months. Lena took 1 week. About 2 weeks later, I received my visitor visa. Now remember, 4 months versus 2 weeks, it's a big difference, yeah. After which I was approached by another company.
So you continue looking for jobs?
Yes. I continued to look for jobs, and...
While in New Zealand?
While I was in New Zealand, I was looking for jobs, and there were a number of jobs that were available. They were in line with my skill set, and there were things that I wanted to do. Therefore, I decided to go for interviews with one of these companies, and it was a very long process just to interview with the company because they make sure that everything is done properly. However, I made it to the last stage and they wanted to employ me. However, the position that they wanted to employ me for, they were questioning whether they should employ a New Zealander or me, or whether the job role is correct and whether it fits with my skill set.
Plus, there is another side or a complement to what you're saying, and is that your visitor visa was going to expire soon.
Yes.
And you had to leave the country. So this created a whole lot of, another level of complexity to the whole case. And complexity to the company as well. Because, of course, they want him, but your visa was going to expire soon. They didn't know what was required, and
yes.
What else?
So they were not sure whether they could do this application correctly and whether they could meet all of the requirements. So the funniest story we have is on the...
This is the best part of the story, so pay attention.
Yes. So Lena came with me after speaking to me on a phone call to say, just tell this company that I will come with you and I will convince them to get you this job. And I said, do you think this is allowed? She said, don't worry, I've got your back, we are going. So I phoned the company and I told them, I would like to have a meeting with you. And can I bring my immigration agent with me? To which they...
Can I bring my mom to the interview?
So they agreed to it. And we go to this meeting. And Lena, being as fiery and educated as she is, she knew all the regulations that were required and the requirements that were required for me and my visa. And she sat down and she was negotiating for my job while I was sitting in the room. So I was here and they are talking to each other like I'm not in the room, and she basically got me my job. It was the funniest thing in the world. So she negotiated a better salary for me, she negotiated the time period, she assured them that they would go through a minimum amount of stress. She also told them that she would do all the necessary paperwork to relieve any pressure from them, and she would ensure that the job would be done accurately, ethically, and on time. And she delivered on every one of those things. So my visitor visa had expired and the company was still interested in employing me. I moved to South Africa for the period that I was waiting for my contract and for my new visa, which unfortunately does take some time. Whilst I was in South Africa, Lena was working almost every night to apply for, to speak to the company, to put together new letters for my application, to ask for additional documents that were required, and everything needed to be done properly. That was the main thing, that she wanted to make sure that there was no question that this application was filed and there would be no complaints, which is what I really commend her for, because I believe in doing things properly. Whilst I was in South Africa, she was also being a psychologist to me. And
managing his anxiety.
Managing my anxiety, managing the company's anxiety while we are waiting for this visa, because you have to wait quite a while. So for instance, in my case, it took how many months?
Probably like a month and a half to go over that.
Month and a half, 2 months. So you just have to wait. There's nothing you can do about it. But you have to be assured that the documents are filed in the correct order and done properly. And for me, that was the best thing I could have for my anxiety, knowing that everything that Lena did was done properly. So I finally got the call to say my visa was granted, and Lena phoned me at midnight.
New Zealand time?
New Zealand time. She stayed awake just to phone me. And this is after she had spent many months at different time zones, because I was in South Africa, the company was in New Zealand, and for a period of time she was in Colombia. So we were in 3 different time zones, all communicating with each other.
Different continents.
Different continents, trying to communicate with each other. and she worked so tirelessly and so hard to make sure that there was minimal effort that was required from my part and also on the company's part. So there were nights where I remember she would stay awake till 2 o'clock in the morning while she was asking me for stuff on email. And I was like, you've got a baby and a husband, go to sleep, go and spend time with your family. But so fast forward down the line, she phoned me up at midnight. If I remember correctly, it was the 6th of December, yes? 6th of December. It was midday in South Africa, and she gave me this news. But she first asked me, how am I doing? Before she told me I had the good news. At which stage I was thinking, oh my God. She asked me, am I sitting down? I said, oh my God, no. And then she broke the news that I had my visa. And I have to be honest, it was probably some of the best news I've ever received in my entire life. I owe, I don't know how many favors to this woman. She is an angel to me. She has made me achieve one of my lifelong dreams. For me, it is not just moving to a country, it's also starting a new life. And she really cared about my life. She really wanted to help me as a person. And for that, I cannot thank her enough. I will always say that she's one of the best, most kind, caring people I've ever met in my entire life. And I can guarantee she will do the same for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you. And I just want to compliment that. I think it's always a team effort. You know, it's you also done what it has to be done. You know, you were also very good at gathering all the documents. Of course, you know, I helped you with the negotiation process with the company, but your skill sets are absolutely important as a, you know, in what you know how to do, and you know, your background as a business development manager, it helped hugely into the whole process. And I think my role was mainly to encourage you into the whole process, because I remember when your visa was going to expire in it was like 10 days, something like that. And you said, no, Lena, you know, they really want to you know, my skill set. However, they don't know for sure whether we could make it within this time frame and so on. And I told him, you are not giving up, right? And he was to a certain extent giving up, and considering the fact that New Zealand was over. And I said, no, if they want you, we are going to make sure that it's done, and we're going to make sure that all their concerns in terms of the process and in terms of, you know, how things are going to happen will be mitigated. And that's precisely what we were able to do, to make sure that everything was organized in the right way. So it wouldn't have done, it wouldn't be able to do the whole process without your skill sets and your commitment, and also your openness to hear what I had to say into the whole process. And yes, so thank you as well for that. And it was a huge amount of stress from, you know, from both sides. You know, we put a lot of effort as well. I think one of the things that I was telling him before is that, and I tell my people and the people that work for us and the people that we deal with in the applications, is that we put a little bit of ourselves in every single application. We invest ourselves in that because we care. This is your dream. This is your money. It's your investment. It's also your life. You're putting everything into this dream, isn't it?
Yeah, everything I have. My life savings have gone into financially. It's a massive commitment because I've had to live here for a number of months because of the previous agency not doing their job. So financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy. So as much as it's great to have the idea, you also need to be committed to the process. You need to work with Lena because she has your best interest at heart. But if you have the patience, determination, and commitment to do it, you'll get there.
Is there any advice you would like to provide to, you know, people like yourself, professionals, well-educated, with experience in their own countries, you know, in South Africa, in Europe, in Latin America, that are looking at this video and are saying, you know, should I do this? Should I risk part of my, you know, part of your life, because you put in at stake all that you had to come to New Zealand?
I would say a few things. So the first is the country I had read about and I had wanted to be in is the country that I came to. So I knew my country has many problems such as crime, corruption, economy is not great, violence is high, and I wanted to move to a country where I could feel safe, where it was beautiful, I could meet friendly people, I could start a life. And New Zealand has delivered on that. It's definitely one of my favorite cities in the world. It's beautiful all the time, and you can definitely make a life here. From a, let's say, advice point of view, I would say be prepared to put in the amount of time that you need to, because at first I thought that it would be an easy process. It is relatively simple, but it's not easy. You have to put in time. You have to put together all your documentation. You have to make sure that you are thorough when you collate everything. And when you're speaking to your advisor, make sure that they know all the information so that they can make your application as solid as possible. It just cuts out the back and forth from a time perspective, and also you can get your application in earlier. I would also say be patient, because it does take time. Unfortunately, I had the misconception that it would be a matter of 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does not take 1 or 2 weeks, and that's the reality that we have to face. So be patient. And then the last thing I would say is trust in your agent, trust in Llena, because she really does have the best, your best interest at heart.
And the knowledge.
And the knowledge. So trust that she is doing the right thing and she has your best interest at heart. Like I said, I have come from I've worked with a different agency previously, and it was 2 very different experiences. I know that I was taken for advantage of by the previous agency after dealing with Llena, because she works so thoroughly, she works with your best interest at heart. So just trust that she knows. I
answer phone calls.
Yeah, she answers phone calls, she responds to emails on time. So trust in her. Make sure that if she does ask you for something, that it's done timeously and done with your best interest at heart. Don't think that she's asking for it because she wants to be tough. No, it's not because of that. It's because she wants your application to get done properly every single time.
Quick question. You had this experience with, you know, previous agency, and you know, after a really bad experience, we could have thought that you may be deciding to do the application by yourself and not using an immigration advisor. Why did you decide to use an immigration advisor for the second time if you didn't have a good experience? And you know, how was that thinking process at the time to say, should I use it, should I not? How I'm gonna judge whether this person is gonna deliver on what she's promising? I'm
a pretty analytical person, and I think I'm pretty smart, but being smart and thinking that you're good in your area of expertise is different to doing something that's out of your area of expertise. And I know that there are people that do applications by themselves, but it is highly complex, it's very specific, and the immigration agencies, New Zealand immigration has laws and regulations that you think you might know, but you don't really know. So from an education experience point of view, I just didn't have it in me for me to do it. And I did not want to risk spending money on an application that would be declined later on. I would have lost the time and the money, and without having the opportunity to just pay for Llena's expertise up front and have less risk for losing the time, maybe paying a bit more money, but it's worth it if the outcome is better than if I had done it myself.
Yeah.
So I had assessed a number of different companies, and after speaking to Lena, I could see that she was well versed in what is right, what should be done. She was very ethical. She would not practice anything in a bad way or illegally. She upholds the quality and standard that I would like for myself and I want to deliver on. And so, see, international was the way I went.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you. I have to say it publicly. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for coming to see us, for trusting us after a terrible experience that you had. Thank you for trusting us with your documents, with your money, with your whole process. Thank you for coming to share your story and your dreams. And we are so happy. I told you that this is the moment when I got your visa. I said, oh my goodness, I was just jumping all around because it's been such a roller coaster and a long period for you, and you have invested so much into this. So I'm truly, truly, truly excited about the future for you, about the future for what New Zealand has to offer now that you're going to be here for longer, for various years, and probably you're going to stay, apply for residency, get married, and who knows what else is coming on the way. I'm pretty sure, and you are such a kind person, and this country needs people like you. So thank you as well. And if you have any questions at all, if you would like to know more about New Zealand, about what New Zealand has to offer in terms of migration, in terms of study options, in terms of residency, in terms of work in this case, you can contact us and we will be more than happy to help you with any of your questions and with any of your process. Thank you for following up. Thank you. And we will see you in our next video with more stories from you.
Well,
more
okay.
More positive stories from you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
see you around.